Hi everyone. I haven't started my day yet. It's actually like nearly 11 o'clock in the morning as I'm recording this. I haven't started my day yet, but there are a couple of things that I want to talk about in this video. One of them being that there is something that I haven't told you all. For the last few months, if not for the straight up for the last year or so, there have actually been attempts on my life, and I'm going to get into that now. So the attempts on my life have worked out thus. DEW weaponry and most likely brain frequency modulation manipulation have been used to try to facilitate fatal heart attacks, and this is during my sleep. Okay. There's also been directed energy weapons fired at this part of my body to kind of synthesize, not only give me a heart attack, but further synthesize the effects of a heart attack. So every night I'm subject to weapons being fired here and back here. And I also noticed that it's usually when I'm about to fall asleep that I get these attacks, and when I'm just waking up in the morning that I'm getting these attacks. So usually what would happen is that I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be all kinds of abrupt noises waking me up to further facilitate a heart attack, right? So when I said that my neighbors were trying to kill me, when I said that these people were trying to kill me, I wasn't just saying that out of hyperbole. Remember, directed energy weapons are being fired on my heart at the same time, and I've said this before. Now, these people have been taken out of commission temporarily because of what happened on Thursday, and the fact that the weaponized radio frequencies were taken too far. So now that family is not doing their usual thing, but I'm still having weapons fired at my heart. Again, the people behind gang stalking, the people behind these weapons, the people behind all the psychological warfare, they're trying to kill off as many people as possible. So I don't interpret this and these attacks on me as something personal. Now, when I have head injuries, when I'm being fired weapons in my head, with the same directed energy weapons, when I'm doing my tarot or when I'm doing my spiritual practices, I believe that's personal. I believe somebody upstairs might have access to an app that allows them to torture me, but I don't know this for sure. I don't have proof, okay? Because quite frankly, there are people situated outside my house that could easily be firing electronic weapons. It's happened before. There have been stationary vehicles outside that are responsible for not only the frequency modulation weaponry, but also radio frequency weaponry and also directed energy weaponry. So there have been vehicles outside there before with the weapons, like somewhere in the back. Like, it's happened before. So there's no guarantees that anybody upstairs has been using apps on me to try to silence me and to try to stop me from doing my spiritual practices. There's no actual proof of that. So if I have suspicions that people upstairs are doing it, then they're only suspicions for the time being. I don't know for sure. And truth be told, if they were really doing that, then yes, it would be attempted murder, because stuff like that has caused brain hemorrhages before, right? It would be attempted murder. Probably third degree attempted murder, but it would be attempted murder, right? But that's why you have to be careful with these things, because I don't know. If I don't know for sure, right, then accusing them of murder specifically because of the DEW weaponry, that's a really big statement. Because if it's true, then you know what that means. But as it stands, the upstairs family up until now, they have been psychologically torturing me, and they have been facilitating in my murder in that sense, by trying to drive me crazy enough to be institutionalized and thus affecting my quality of life, or driving me crazy enough to be homeless, which affects my quality of life. So while it's murder from a moral perspective, it's not murder from a legal one, right? So that's the only thing that I know about this family so far. And even then, they haven't done it since Boxing Day. They haven't done any of that since yesterday, right? So I don't know for sure if they're using directed energy weapons on me. But I know for a fact that directed energy weapons are being used on me. And especially during the night when I'm just about to go to sleep and waking up in the morning. Because when you wake up in the morning, that's when your cortisol is... There's a specific science behind this, right? When you're just going to bed, that's REM sleep, right? And when you're continuously being woken up during REM sleep, it puts a strain on your heart. That, on top of the directed energy weaponry, weakens your heart and it weakens your body, right? When you're just waking up in the morning, remember, in order to wake up, you need a powerful amount of cortisol. A powerful amount of cortisol. An amount of cortisol so powerful, if you were to sustain yourself on that all the time, it would drastically decrease not only your quality of life, but your life, period. It takes a powerful amount of cortisol to wake the body up in the morning. Like, just like a gentle wake in the morning, it takes a lot of cortisol to do it. So at that time, that's also when the weapons are fired at my heart. And the weapons are usually timed with somebody making loud noises, or, or somebody attempting to wake you up, right? So there have been multiple attempts on my life. Don't get it twisted. The gang stalkers have been trying to kill me. I'm not making that shit up. I'm not telling people this for attention. There have been multiple attempts on my life, and it's not even anything new. There have been attempts on my life for at least 10 years on and off. At least 10 years on and off. Like, I've had weapons fired at my heart, fired at my chest. So yeah, it's there have been attempts to murder me for years now. I remember when I was staying in that accommodation in Willesden Green, one of my neighbors who knew that I was having weapons fired on me said that I was a so-called freak because the weapons weren't working on me, right? And then so that was the one that lived directly next to me. And then there was another person who also knew about the directed energy weaponry that said that the weapons were barely touching me at the time. I was very, very strong physically in spite of everything. And I still am, which is why I'm still alive. But yeah, these attempts on my life have been going on for at least 10 years. At least 10 years since I moved out of my dad's house. Maybe even before that. Because again, I believe gang stalking has been going on at least since I was a teenager, if not all my life. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, there have been attempts on my life, and a particularly bad attempt on my life happened last night, because there were lots of attacks on my heart. There are lots of attacks on my heart, all that type of stuff. So yeah, there was an attempt to kill me last night. There was an attempt to kill me. And the reason why I'm not shaken up about it is because, again, like, when you're a targeted individual, it's nothing new. Like, there are people who try to kill you all the time. And again, you have to remember the crux of why people get involved in gang stalking. It's to feel like they're winning and to feel like they're getting attention. And that's it. That's the long and tall of it. They will literally kill people for attention. They will literally kill people for attention. Don't let nothing fool you. These people kill specifically because they're bored. It's got nothing to do with anything else. Right? So, yeah, there have been attempts on my life, like the same way that my dear T.I.'s cousin, not brother as I originally stated, or sibling as I originally stated, where one of my dear T.I.'s had their cousin killed through a forced heart attack, in the same way that they killed, in the same way that gang stalkers killed Robert Duncan, And in the same way, the gang stalkers tried to kill me last night through a heart attack. There's also a celebrity, I can't remember her name. Her name was called Mickey. She was, hold on. She was called Mickey from Big Brother, right? I feel like it's American Big Brother, CBS's Big Brother. And she was 35 years old. She's like 5 years younger than me. And she died from a myocarditis. It's funny how after I mention myocarditis in one of my videos, suddenly that word's like flying around everywhere all of a sudden. And now people in the comments are still doing this thing of trying to deny that certain prescriptions are involved. And if you know, you know. They're still trying to deny that. They're still trying to say, oh, it's just conspiracy theory. It's just conspiracy theory. And people got myocarditis with the flu, as if flu can't be synthesized. As if flu can't be a synthesized bioweapon. They've been using bioweapon, like, oh my God, like, just people just being deliberately stupid for the sake of it. Yeah. So the fact that this woman had a hole in her heart, apparently either Mickey had a hole in the heart originally, or she had like something wrong with her heart initially. So everybody's like, oh, well, it makes sense that she had a heart attack. Oh, well, that makes sense. Remember that people are dying left and right in December. People are losing their lives left and right. I've just heard about a man in Florida wiping out his entire family. People are losing their lives left and right. This is not fucking normal. This is strategic or tactical. It's tactical. This is a tactical thing. People are being killed off left and fucking right here. People are being killed off left and right. This is not normal. Even with me, there's an attempt on my life. There's an attempt on my life because there's more exposure about gang stalking coming out. And they can't risk, well, it's too late for that. They're trying to control something that they really have no control over. And that's why they're trying to kill people like me. That's why there are constant attempts on TI lives. You know, the gang stalkers are trying to control a narrative that is getting increasingly out of their control. Our governments, you know, US, UK, you know, we've basically become the Axis powers at this point. We're attempting to control narratives that are increasingly out of our control. And when I say we, I mean our governments. I mean our political leaders. They're trying to control narratives that are now out of their fucking control. That's why so many people are dying, because a lot of people are starting to understand that we've been played. And a lot of people are angry. So what's happening now is that US, UK, Izzy, what they're doing is they're killing as many people as possible so that there won't be that many left alive to speak the truth and to fight against government that are basically getting ready to create a society of fascism. That's one of the reasons why gang stalking is killing off so many people. Or the same technology used in gang stalking is now killing off so many people. It's tactical. I don't know. Again, I can't call it strategic because this seems like very short-term behavior, but it is tactical. Okay? It's a tactical strategy to kill this many people during winter. It's also ritualistic. It's also ritualistic. The messianic model, I call it. The messianic model of killing off as many good, decent, or, you know, well-liked people as possible. Killing off as many people like that as possible in order to pay debts that are owed to the old gods that these elites pray to. That's the system that we're all under or on the low. Like the 3 Abrahamic religions, they're basically a cover for the real gods that all of us serve low-key. All of us low-key serve older gods than the ones in the Abrahamic faiths. The Abrahamic faiths are simply religions that the blind are led by. But all of us serve old gods, very, very old gods that demand blood and get hungrier every year. So people who believe in justice, people who, you know, who might be queer or, you know, heavily marginalized people like queer people and trans people, especially black and brown people, and especially black people, let's be real. Women, children, anybody who believes in rights for all these people, like indigenous people, let's add indigenous people to this. Anybody who believes in rights for all these people, and these demographics in particular, add the working class to that, because that includes working class whites. So all of these demographics together, they are being used as food to keep this world going. They're being sacrificed to keep this world functioning. It's a messianic model. It's not just, you know, it's an occult model. Yes, it's, you know, many people are being sacrificed in service to the old gods. That's true. But it's also an economic model. It's not just an occult one. It's not just I shouldn't say occult. It's not just a ritualistic model. It's also an economic model. Remember that question I posted by Cypher.j, right? I'm paraphrasing because I haven't got the quote to hand. But it's basically along the lines of, what else have our authority figures let slide in terms of crimes, in terms of human rights abuses, in terms of war crimes? How many more crimes by powerful people have our institutions let slide just because it was cheaper to do so? Remember, people who are dead, especially creatives who are dead, they are far more likely to be famous when they're dead than when they're alive. Even if they're really well loved when they're alive, when they're dead, they make even more money. When they're dead, they make even more money, right? And because they're dead, they're not making money for themselves. They're making money for multiple industries. And that's just in the entertainment industry. And then we have to get to the victims. We have to get to victims of various crimes. Rape, sexual harassment, hate crimes. You know, all of these things are incredibly common, even without gang stalking. Abuse and trafficking are incredibly common, even without gang stalking, let alone with gang stalking. The amount of paperwork it takes to look at each crime or each group of crimes, there's a massive amount of paperwork. There are lawyers that need to be hired. There is barristers that need to be hired. There are judges that need to be appointed. All of that is lengthy and expensive, and, you know, and it's costly to actually take care of a victim of a crime, because not only do the perpetrators need to serve justice, but the victim also has to be rehabilitated. Now, I say rehabilitated, you know, not in the sense that they did anything wrong, but you have to understand, when victims go through significant trauma, they need additional help. They need therapy. You know, they need to be tested. They need counseling. They need legal representation as well. So each victim who goes through something really, really massive, you know, even a victim that goes through something relatively small, that's a lot of money to actually take care of a victim. It costs a lot. It doesn't just take effort, it takes money. And that's for another reason why the best victim is a dead one. Because it costs fucking money. It costs a lot of money to look after victims. When an abuser does something that they're not supposed to do, it tears families apart. And when families are torn apart, they can't consolidate resources. Let's be fucking real. The messianic model, sacrificing victims, sacrificing survivors of abuse, sacrificing, targeted individuals, even sacrificing just good and honest people or good people that don't know about the horrible aspects of life. Sacrificing these types of people is not just a ritualistic model, it's an economic one, because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to mourn a dead victim than to look after a live one, because it's cheaper. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It is fucking cheaper. The messianic model is ritualistic. In terms of ritualism, it holds a lot of value. It holds a lot of value to the old gods, right? Like victims of abuse, good people. It like the old gods like that stuff, because like innocent souls hold a lot more value. Or hurt souls, hurt people, tortured people hold a lot more value spiritually and karmically. They hold a lot more value. So the old gods or the egregores that these elites pray to, they like that. But it's also cheaper because, again, you have to understand what it takes to create life and what it takes to sustain it. The cost behind creating and sustaining life is massive. And that's just like a life that hasn't been abused. That's a life that hasn't been tortured. That's a life that hasn't been, reduced to its essence or reduced to childhood level. That's just a soul that hasn't been abused. It takes an extraordinary amount of resources to care for that life. Why not? Yeah. Like if the life in question is not going to be as evil as the rest of the world is, then why not sacrifice them? That's how our elites actually think. That's how our elites actually think. Again, it's a business model as well as an occult one. It's all about trade. All of it. So to recap, I have been there has been attempted murder on me, but it actually counts as legitimate murder because all of these attacks on my heart and on my head, like, it's shortening my lifespan. The psychological warfare is shortening my lifespan. This constant, moving, displacement, trying to keep me off balance psychologically, it's all eroding my lifespan and it's eroding my health. This is exactly why I call gang stalkers murderers. This is why I call them murderers. It's because they are. Again, I'm not saying this like to sound cool or to sound hurtful or to be hurtful. As much as I don't give a fuck whether I'm being hurtful or not, I don't say these things to be hurtful. I don't say these things to be mean. There are attempts on my life every day. And ever since December hit, those attempts have stepped up. Because again, it's not personal to me. They're trying to kill a lot of fucking people. Even just here in Brighton, the amount of violent crimes that have actually gone up are crazy. The reports of accidents that have gone up, crazy. There are some people who are perceiving fires that aren't there. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. Either that's specifically caused brain injuries through directed energy weaponry or brain frequency modulation manipulation. Like, come on now. Come on now. You know what I mean? Even just around here in Brighton, like, violent attacks have gone up. And all over the world, especially in Western countries, violence and suicides have gone up dramatically. Dramatically. This is not coming out of nowhere. So any attempts on my life, not personal. Hello, I'll be there in a second. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I'll be there in a second. attempts on my life are nothing. You know what I mean? So, sorry, that was a delivery driver from outside. Sorry. This person closed the door behind them too. Nice and respectful. I hope I didn't film the package. I probably didn't, but yeah. These attacks on my life, nothing new. Nothing new, and definitely not personal. Again, the attacks on my head, personal. Attacks here, not personal. There are attempts on a lot of people's lives. You know what I mean? So, I'm just opening my package now. So, yeah. So that's what's been happening. There have been weapons fired at my heart in a bid to kill me during my sleep and to kill me as I'm waking up. And also, my fellow TIs, watch out when you're going to the toilet as well. Because when you're relieving yourself, your heart rate goes up naturally when you're relieving yourself, especially as you get older. And the gang stalkers like to fire weapons when you're doing that as well. Again, these people are ridiculous. These people are just... These people just love attention. They just love attention. You know, and again, they will kill just to see the look on everyone's faces. Shit is not a joke out here. That's how they're built. That's how they're built. That's how these people are built. So, yeah. Yeah, so I'm just warning you, there are attempts on my life. I'm being caused heart attacks during my sleep and just after I wake up. And my fellow TRs, I'm just warning you just in case. Watch when you go to the toilet. Make sure you're relaxed when you go to the toilet. Make sure your heart rate is down as much as possible. I can't believe I'm having to say this, but this is the world we live in. We have to be very, very careful and very, very vigilant. Okay, so, and get protective shielding. I don't have protective shielding in my home because, again, I'm trying to move house. So I don't have protective shielding in my home yet. But if they ever put me in a new home, which most likely they will do because they can't risk me being on the street, they're not going to take that risk. If I have a new home to move to, or when I have a new home to move to, protective shielding. That's one of the first things I'm going to do. And I suggest you guys do the same thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was for me. Now I've got to go. I've got readings to do today. I'll probably get weapons fired at my head during readings as well. I don't know how the gang stalkers want me to stick to readings and yet they want to fire weapons on my head during the fucking readings. Again, these people are so pathetic. Everything is about attention and competition. Like, these people are just so fucking pathetic, bro. But anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to start my day. And yeah, we'll talk soon. I'll see you on the Empress Justice Tarot and Astrology. Actually, I've uploaded Uttara Bhadrapada first quarter moon. That's the last lunar reading I'm going to do for the, not only for the year, but until spring. So, and every time I say that, I breathe a little bit easier. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's going to be my last lunar reading until March, which will most likely be eclipse season, and that will be interesting. So yeah, that's going to be my last lunar reading until March. Yeah, that's going to be my last lunar reading until March. And yeah, I've already uploaded both parts. I've done Pisces. I'm about to upload Cancer. And after I've done the uploads, I'm going to move on to the water signs for the Uttara Bhadrapada first quarter and Scorpio for Mula New Moon, which is way late because today is the day of the first quarter moon in Uttara Bhadrapada. That's coming this evening. So I'm already way late, but hey, it is what it is. But I just needed to come online and let you know, just in case anything happened to me, that there have been attempts on my life by the gang stalking, okay? So that's it. Peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. Take care, my fellow TIs, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, my darlings.